Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presents. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, our weekly chat about Star Wars, science fiction, fantasy, and other things we enjoy.
Sometimes gay samurai.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So I've been I've been playing Assassin's Creed quite a bit. The new game,
Shadows.
which, by the way, has been a lot of fun. Like I've really enjoyed it, and I started enjoying it before I realized that I could start a relationship with a femboy, like samurai as Yasuke, the big hulking samurai dude, right? And I was like,
all
right, yeah. I will be a gay black samurai. Yeah,
Sure.
I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, we're here for it.
I think more games should be like this.
Of course, the worst people in the world are screaming, how dare you force me to go through the steps to have a gay relationship?
Right. Oh, yeah, it's easily avoidable. In fact, that relationship is like, it's with a character you can recruit to your little like group or whatever, but he's missable. Like you could finish the entire game and never meet him. And it's not like, you know,
mandatory or like the story revolves around it.
Right. Yeah. And then as Naue, the ninja girl, there's a drunk, like kind of cocky Ronin that I find, and I'm like, I met him, I was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck that guy. That's Naue. That's Naue's boyfriend. Is that guy right there? So anyway, today we're talking about Star Wars news. There was a new trailer for Star Wars Underworld. We'll have Tales of the Underworld.
Speaking of trailers, there was one for Tron Ares, which seems vaguely within our sphere.
I have not seen it.
Oh, okay.
We are going to talk a little bit about the Super. Maybe you can tell me about that as well.
Okay.
We're talking. There was a new like 5-minute Superman like special look or something.
It was like what 2.5 minutes of like just
a scene
from the movie, and then
like the teaser
stuff
at the
that
end.
we've
Right,
seen.
right, yeah. And then we're going to talk about Daredevil episode 7, which premiered, and then I'm pretty sure our schedule is about to change because I forgot that The Last of Us season 2 is happening in a week.
Yes.
Which first is very exciting because I really loved the first season of that show. But because we were going to go to Wednesdays anyway.
Yeah.
And
we were going to move. I don't know where to when, but yes, because Andor is coming up.
But that's the other thing is I want to do a buzzed recap for Andor season 1 as well. So like we're going to have a talk probably after this, when we do Battlefront 2, maybe we'll talk about it then. While you're here, if you could go like us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Blue Sky, all of those things are in the description of this video. You can go check it out. We're pretty active, I feel like, on Discord. It's a pretty small community, but we like it. Like if you're really looking to get in touch with one of us, you can do it there, or just comment on one of our things on Facebook. Most people on Facebook, I feel like, are there for the memes, and I can't blame them for that.
Which is fair,
yeah, they're pretty good memes. So, like I said, for this Battlefront 2, we have to open the show with a terribly depressing thing, which is that Val Kilmer, famed actor that was in Top Gun, Batman Forever, Willow, a bunch of other things, died on
this past Tuesday.
Yeah, on April Fool's Day, actually, which I posted.
Which is just the worst day to die on.
I don't think so. There is this really great documentary. So Val Kilmer, when he was young, like before he became a famous actor, got a video camera and started documenting almost every moment of his life from then until like this documentary, right? Okay. And just thousands and thousands of hours of footage, and I'm pretty sure the dude was the first vlogger ever, but he never like uploaded them, right? Yeah. And because I think Val Kilmer has been battling some really serious health issues for a while now, and I think when the time came around for this documentary, I think he was starting to think about his legacy, and probably knew that he was coming up toward the end of his life. He was battling, I think, throat cancer And
to the like he was in Top Gun Maverick a couple of years ago, and he like was at the point where he couldn't even speak to play the role.
Right. Yeah, they had to use his son's voice, I think, and some AI wizardry and shit. But what I could tell from this documentary, it made me fall in love with Val Kilmer a little more. But what I could tell is that he was an extraordinarily whimsical man with an insane sense of humor, and I think he probably would have loved dying on April Fools, knowing that everyone had to stop and be like, wait, is this real?
Yeah.
And I feel like he would have been really into that. I think it would have been like one kind of like last little joke, right, on the way out. Because he really was. He was a hilarious man, and he was constantly known as playing practical jokes on people, and it was always very light spirited, even through his like health issues. And I'll tell you the reason that I was like so affected by this, or at least why I was kind of like, oh man, that really sucks. Because Batman Forever, the one movie that he starred, by the way, brilliantly in as Bruce Wayne and Batman, it came out when I was a kid, like when I was the age that those movies are targeting, right?
Was that the one with the Bat credit card?
No, that's the next one, and we don't talk about that one. Gotcha. That's the one with George Clooney in it. Even George. So the legend is that you can go up to George Clooney and tell him that you saw Batman Forever in theaters, and he will give you a refund. He will take money. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, being obsessed with Batman like I was invited to a birthday party. There was a kid in my apartment building when I lived in California, and I was invited to their birthday party, and I went, and this was just like a few weeks after the movie had come out on VHS. My family at that point could not afford to go and see movies, so of course I didn't see it in theaters. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids at this fucking party, they put a movie on, and it was Batman Forever, and I sat in front of that TV the entire fucking time while everyone else almost immediately lost interest and started partying like a fucking rager happening around me as a 10-year-old or whatever. Yeah. Eyes glued on the fucking screen from the start to the end of this movie, and then asked to borrow it and took it home and watched it again. I was so into that fucking movie. And obviously Michael Keaton was my first Batman, but that movie was so good, and he is part of the reason why, because this is right around in the live action Batman franchise where things started to go in a weird direction. Like they were definitely trying to like market toward kids, which is why they had a bunch of like different vehicles and different bat suits and shit.
Which is stupid because like the previous Batman movies that had done really well didn't really do that.
Right. Yeah, it was. Well, so Tim Burton famously wouldn't come back for this one, and because Tim Burton wouldn't come back, and it was a whole thing with Batman Returns. There was a lot of controversy with it because of how dark it was, and because Tim Burton didn't come back for it, Michael Keaton refused to come back, and so Val Kilmer was, found himself kind of like. Batman was a big deal then, and he was going to be the next Batman, and approached the role so seriously and so professionally. And it comes off in his performance, because in this movie, you have Val Kilmer, who I would say is save for Michael Keaton. Maybe even an argument could be made that he was a better Bruce Wayne than Michael Keaton. I don't know if I would buy into that, but he was an extremely good Bruce Wayne and a very good Batman. While in the same fucking movie, you have Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones just prancing around doing the craziest shit, and Val Kilmer actually like really taking it seriously, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, Godspeed to you, Val Kilmer, fucking legend. We love you, man. So, Star Wars Tales of the Underworld.
Yes.
I feel like this happens to us every year, where we forget that Lucasfilm is putting out these little animated snapshots, and then the trailer comes out for it, and we get really surprised by it. Last year it was Tales of the Empire, right? And or Tales of the Jedi or something. Yeah, it's Tales of something, and every time it's like fucking Lucy with the football. It's like, I didn't know this was happening.
What the fuck?
So like a year from now, we need to set our I put something in my in my Google Calendar or something and be on the lookout for a fucking animated thing. So we got a trailer for a Lucasfilm Star Wars show called Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, which is apparently going to feature Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane, both notable bounty hunters in the Star Wars universe.
Going around hunting bounties.
Yeah. And which, I mean, if you're going to pick, I mean, so this is a time where, I mean, Boba Fett's going to be really young. Mm-hmm. So like you couldn't obviously do Boba Fett very much. And also Boba Fett gets a little bit of love in Clone Wars too.
I feel like these are two characters that are really, really strongly beloved from the Clone Wars series.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe not like, as you know, I want to be friends with them, but like they're compelling.
They're cool.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
They're really neat.
Like Cad Bane had all those cool Western shootouts and shit, and
he's got the big floppy hat. Yeah,
and the little droid that he treats terribly.
Right. You know, it's really funny. You know, did I ever tell you about what my favorite Disney movie is?
What was that?
The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh right, yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
I think so.
Okay. There is a character in this. I'm going to pull up a picture of him real quick. That every time I see Cad Bane, I think of this guy, which is the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
From
the poacher.
Yes. Tell me that doesn't kind of remind you of Cad Bane.
He smiles too much and his eyes aren't beady enough.
Well, he has a mouth.
But yeah.
Which I guess Cad Bane has a mouth.
He doesn't have a nose.
Right. He doesn't have a nose. But he the way he talks is really reminds me. He's got also like the bridge of his nose. He has a very wide Australian nose.
Yeah. But yeah, they both have a certain drawl to.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I think the one thing that a bunch of people kind of clued in on is that Asajj Ventress seems to have.
She has a little buddy.
Yeah, she seems to have made a friend who is a survivor of Order 66. We were talking in our Discord a little bit this last week, and I think we figured out who it is. Which is there are a couple of episodes in Clone Wars where it's all the Padawans, and it's like Gunji, the little Wookiee boy, and a couple of others, and there's a Jedi Padawan by the name Petro. Like there's the one where they go to find their kyber crystal in Ilum, and then there's the one that is a reminder to you that the Jedi were perfectly fine dumping children into war zones, and it's this crew of Padawans desperately trying to run away from being murdered
while fucking Fortunate Son is playing in the background.
So he's one of those kids. I'm almost positive it is him. They both have the same eye color and hair color. I mean, the one in the trailer looks like an older version of the one from Clone Wars. So I'm pretty sure that's who that is. Also, it'd be a very Dave Filoni thing. Yeah. Right. He loves taking original characters. He's like, oh, I made this. This lives on, motherfucker. Right. And putting it in something else. So.
Which is cool. It makes the universe feel more lived in, which has always been a big part of Star Wars. And they're all they're all fucking characters that, Clone Wars is kind of a big deal, or started to become a big deal when I was in high school, and. Well, the thing to remember with any media property is that any character you create is going to be someone's favorite character.
Right. Yeah.
So being able to bring it back,
unless it's Jar Jar Binks.
Well, yes. But being able to bring back a minor, obscure character is going to make somebody really happy. And as long as you tell a decent enough story with them, it's going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
So no reason not to.
By the way, this motherfucker's coming out in less than a month.
Jesus.
Coming out on May the 4th.
God, that's happening happening at the same time as Andor.
Yes, I know.
God damn it.
I don't know what we're gonna do. Because we're gonna have 3 hours of Andor.
Yeah, we're gonna have a 3-hour podcast.
I don't know how we're gonna survive this. There were images this last week. There are leaked images of early images of an upcoming Star Wars video game that's being made by Respawn and Bit Reactor that apparently is a
turn-based strategy.
Yeah, turn-based real-time strategy thing.
In the vein of XCOM.
Right.
Which is very exciting to me because I really like those games.
I don't know what they are.
Oh.
I'll have to look into it. I'm not really even sure what they are.
So not to drive
go
us too
for it.
far
You know
off the
what?
cliff.
You do what you do.
The core conceit of XCOM is that Earth is being invaded by aliens, and you're in charge of this multinational military coalition trying to fight the aliens off.
Okay.
The actual missions where you control your guys on the maps and tell them to do things, that's turn-based on a grid, so you move around, like you have them take cover and shoot aliens.
Like Risk. Or no. You mean like KOTOR.
Vaguely. Except it's not real time like KOTOR. It's turn-based. So like you move all your guys, all the aliens go, then you move all your guys, then the aliens go.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll have to look. I'll have to look into it. So I'm going to say the following thing, but then I'm going to put a proviso on it.
Okay.
It looked a little mobile game-ish to me. The graphics.
I'm willing to bet it's still fairly early in development.
Well, apparently the leaked photos are from an artist portfolio dated from 2023. So it's entirely possible that it just wasn't very there's a reason that these weren't floating around. It was because they were kind of early in development.
Because they don't represent what the game looks like now.
Right. We do expect, by the way, that we'll probably see something about this for Star Wars Celebration next month, which also there are rumors going around that we are going to be getting a sneak peek or even like a little teaser of the final installment of the Jedi Fallen Order.
That's really interesting because there's also rumors going around that Respawn is involved in making Titanfall 3, which would be another big project for them. I don't know how big Respawn is, like if they have the people to be developing this many games simultaneously.
It's probably EA.
Right? I'm pretty sure,
I don't know. It's crazy, but we're supposed to be hearing something apparently about the Cal Kestis games. So
even if it's just fucking Cameron Monaghan coming out on stage waving a lightsaber saying, "We're making the next game."
Yeah, I'm still here, motherfuckers. Yeah.
You remember that from the Game Awards a couple of years ago?
I do a little bit. And then I remember a part of the marketing material for Jedi Survivor when it was about to be released. Like it wasn't very far off at all. It was a little video that he and Mark Hamill did together. Did you remember that?
I remember it happens. I don't remember anything about it.
He's like Mark's there to like train him how to be a Jedi.
Oh yeah.
And like Cameron Monaghan would do the thing where like the things come apart.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill's like, that never happened when I was a Jedi or something. Mine never did that. So one more thing before we go on to Daredevil. There was a 5-minute special look into the upcoming Superman film that James Gunn is doing that is slated for release in, I think, July of this year. So like in a couple months.
This late spring / summer is going to have so much shit.
Right. And you know what? I know that fans, so like the fans of the whole like release the Snyder Cut and shit, I understand that they're like really upset that Henry Cavill isn't Superman anymore. And I will say Henry Cavill as an actor, I think, did a really good job as Superman. It's too bad that those movies sucked. And it wasn't his fault. And I'm sorry if you're a hashtag release the Snyder Cut. I'm sorry, the Snyder Cut of Batman the Avengers, it wasn't better. It was different, but it was not better. I'll say that Josh Whedon didn't do a terribly good job, but I don't think this, and I understand Zack Snyder was going through this terrible personal tragedy at the time. It's why he stepped away from it in the first place, right? So, not everyone's perfect. Zack Snyder, certainly, if you've ever seen Rebel Moon.
God, those movies sucked so bad.
But like, I enjoyed Henry Cavill, and I liked Ben Affleck as Batman too. I think he did a pretty good job. They're just not very good movies, and I know that Snyder Cut bros are real upset that he's not Superman anymore, and they're looking at everything coming out of this, looking for an excuse to hate it, which is par for the course on the internet these days.
Yeah.
There's never an intelligent argument, just screaming into the void, and you kind of have to filter that shit out. All that being said, I am really excited about this.
This movie looks whimsical.
It does. And I think that that's got to be on purpose because
I feel like any good Superman media has to have a little bit of whimsy because everything about that is just so goofy.
Yeah.
Like he gets his superpowers from the sun.
Right.
He wears his underpants outside of his suit.
Yeah,
his dog has a fucking cape.
Right.
He grew up on a farm in Kansas despite being from this planet halfway across the galaxy.
Right.
Like it's just all so goofy and like
is.
quintessentially golden age or maybe silver age of comics.
No, golden age. Yeah.
Like it's you have to embrace that a little bit.
Right.
Like that might be why the Snyder movies aren't that great.
They're so dark and gritty.
Because Zack Snyder is just obsessed with being dark and gritty and edgy, and that's not what Superman is.
Yeah. To be fair, that's what everyone wanted at the time too, because like the Nolan versus Batman were.
Because Batman works in that sort of dark, gritty, punchy
and that's true. And they weren't like Chris Nolan wasn't. Chris Nolan. Yeah. No. Chris Nolan wasn't doing all of DC. He was doing Batman, and within that the ecosystem, it was a very grounded, realistic thing. Like where the bat suit was actually military grade armor and all these technologies and stuff, and like Catwoman's ears aren't actually her ears; they're little goggles that fold up. You know, it's like everything was like really grounded in the real world, and
or at least plausible.
Right. And then here comes like Aquaman and shit. And if you're gonna do Aquaman and shit, like you might as well get goofy as fuck with it because like
he talks to dolphins.
Yeah, they're very strange heroes, and Superman isn't necessarily a really good superhero to begin with because he's boring as fuck. Because
you can tell good stories about Superman, but you have to you can't.
You have to nerf him.
Gritty. Yeah, you have to be a little bit whimsical, and you have to embrace that the character is fundamentally a good person.
Right. That's true. And you know another thing I really love about the special look, they never should have made a Superman property without using John Williams' theme for Superman. There is something about, and I don't know how he does it. There are projects where John Williams creates a musical theme that is so prolifically perfect and amazing that it just marries itself to that franchise. And like, I don't know what and this is no shade against Hans Zimmer, but his score for Superman was tuneless and did not have a melody. And
that's just par for the course for Hans Zimmer.
Yes, and I get that's what he does it very well. He does really neat soundscapes and stuff, but he does not necessarily write tuneful. Generally, I can point to a couple that are, but like he does not generally like go and whistle the theme from Hans Zimmer's The Superman or Superman, whatever. Or go.
I can whistle the theme from the Batman movies because that's only 2 notes.
Right. Yeah.
I can whistle the music from Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 1 because that actually has melodies. Number 2 because I played it in high school.
Also, he didn't write it.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't write most of his stuff.
Yeah, Klaus Badelt wrote Pirates of the Caribbean, and fucking Hans Zimmer was like, mine.
I wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote that.
You wrote that? I wrote that.
Yeah. So the fact that they're bringing the John Williams music back, I love the fucking anyone who's ever owned a puppy identifies with the first couple minutes of this because like
Crypto's just fucking around with them.
Yes, I know, and you know what? There were a couple of years ago, or actually, it was like more than that. It was 2020, like from like 2017 to 2020, my health had declined quite a bit because I was having these episodes, which we'd find out later were very strangely presenting appendicitis. And I had my appendix out, and immediately my life improved, right? Yeah. I would be in these severe bouts of pain where I was doubled over and my stomach hurt really bad and I couldn't take and I had to go to the hospital. And that's when my puppy Brecker would be like, oh, are we playing now? And it's like any person who ever like dogs, puppies particularly, will always find the most inappropriate time to decide they want to play. Right. And it's really funny too when they bring him into the Fortress of Solitude. They're like, "You have 13 broken bones," and it's like, okay, how many of those did Crypto break though? Because like he does this,
he's like bouncing on top of him.
I also love how dogs do this thing when they pick up something that's a little too big for them, and they prance with it. And he does that when he grabs the cape and starts pulling him, and it is the funniest shit. And I love these fucking robots in the Fortress of Solitude.
Superman's like, thank you. And they're like, there is no need to thank us. We do not have consciousness.
Right. Which, by the way, I don't know if I believe that because they
like that one is like fangirl, like, oh, you
looked at me, right?
Also, there's a shot of Superman like holding a broken robot in his arms, which I assume is going to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, we're going to get attached to those fucking robots in there, and they're going to kill one or all of them. Yeah, I love their numbers look kind of like Fantastic Four-ish, like mid-century looking. You know, the whole look of it I think is refreshing. I love how the tagline of it is "Look up." If ever we needed a fucking message like that in the world right now, like an uplifting, heroic message, you know. So I'm excited for it. I think it's coming out in July. We're gonna go watch the fuck out of it. Yeah. And you know what? If it's bad.
Okay.
So the fuck what?
At least you'll hear some John Williams cues.
Right. I wonder, I'll have to check into it. Maybe we're doing Battlefront. I'll look into who's doing the music. Because I don't think Williams is.
By the way. Almost certainly not.
So I saw a picture of John Williams in a wheelchair the other day.
Oh.
He's been using a wheelchair in his conducting. First of all, he's like 94 years old and he's still doing conducting appearances with big orchestras. But he's and he's not wheelchair bound, but he like when he gets off the podium, he's got to like go and sit down. Yeah. And it makes me worried because I fucking love me some John Williams. And I swear to God, John Williams, I don't know if I could take the year 2025 and also endure the death of one of the most influential people in my career. You know, just don't do that to me. So shall we talk about, Ben says Clone Wars was my childhood. I was buzzing when they announced season 7. Oh yeah, they did season 7. We weren't expecting to see that either, which was kind of a big surprise. And there were previs because they had gotten far enough in development of season 7 where there were a couple of previs scenes that leaked and we could kind of see what the vibe of it was going to be. And I think
that was like right about the time Disney bought out.
Yep. They kind of shelved everything out.
Yep.
I really
because like we don't know what the fuck Disney wants to do, so we're just not going to make anything for a little while.
Yep. Chris says, "May the force be with you, Daniel and Chris. I hope you both are having a good night." It is a pretty good night.
It's pretty good.
We're going to talk about Daredevil Born Again, which had the 7th season, seventh episode called Art for Art's Sake. Which was not, I don't think like the last 2 episodes for me were kind of bangers. Maybe because there were lots of Irish shenanigans in one of them, and the second one is just Daredevil's beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
So this one I think was a more introspective episode, except for a couple of big exceptions.
It sort of felt like consequences are coming to bear here.
And you know what? I also think, I've said this before, I really love the parallel that they are setting up between Fisk and Daredevil.
Where they're both trying to leave their old lives behind, but they just keep getting pulled in.
Like you know that they both sit down every morning and they're like, okay, I need to not beat a man to death today. And by the end, they're like, fuck, I beat a man to death today. So this thing opens up with Fisk, Blake, who is
previously, just because it's important. Daredevil beat the shit out of Muse and rescued Little White Tiger,
Angela.
but Muse got away.
Angela Del Toro.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, oh my God, this is entirely separate. Has nothing to do with this. Giancarlo Esposito did a those autocomplete interviews they do where they
like Google and then look at the
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He did one of those interviews, and Giancarlo Esposito is the most extra goofy, fucking hilarious man I've ever seen in this fucking, because he pronounces his name he's like Giancarlo Esposito. And he says it that way every time, and it's just and then he'll start laughing maniacally about something, and then he'll immediately go into a Gustavo Fring thing. He's like, "I will kill your infant daughter." It's like, oh my god! If you've not seen the Wired interview with Giancarlo Esposito, yeah, go and watch it because it is fantastic. I don't know why I brought that up, but another thing I have to say is that, so this opens with Fisk and Blake and Buck, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're like three fucking stooges. Daniel Blake is played by the guy who played Tony Soprano.
James
Gandolfini, yes. His son, who has gotten to a point in his life where he looks a lot like him and he sounds just like him. And in this episode, acts like him too. In a couple of scenes.
I have to say, I don't know if it's the character or the actor, but he has a very punchable face.
Oh, that's the actor. Yeah. I think he's supposed to.
Just something about the way he smiles.
Yeah.
He looks slimy. No, like you want to punch him and then wipe your hand off.
You know that, like, he listens to Andrew Tate. Yeah. And like all these manosphere, fucking incel bullshit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I just like how they open up this episode with this, like, it's almost like a Three Stooges thing where Fisk is like, "What do you see when you look at my office?" And Daniel Blake's like, "A Starbucks." And then
and Buck is like, "I don't know, sir. What do you see?" Yeah. Because you're obviously guiding
he says
something.
Well, he says voters, right? Because that's like what he's thinking as well. Yeah. And I don't even remember what the point of this conversation was. I think he was like,
the
Daredevil's bad.
Back?
Yeah. Right.
And Fisk is like real edgy about that.
Yeah. He's
like on edge.
Fisk seems to be having some big feelings about Daredevil. And I think by the end of this, and I'll bring it up again when I like kind of noted it, I'm pretty sure that he sees Daredevil going back to work as permission for him to do it, where he's like, well, if Daredevil's going back to beating people half to death, I'm allowed to do that now.
Also, I kind of already beat my wife's boyfriend to death, so maybe I'm just already there.
Yeah, right. So they discuss Angela Del Toro's brush with Muse, and they confirm that Daredevil is back, and this has made Fisk pretty unhappy. And this is where my note it says maybe he is. If Matt can break his agreement to not be Daredevil, it's okay for Fisk to become a raging monster again. So he's like, well, if Matt can do it, I can do it. Fuck him. But you're right about the dead wife's boyfriend thing. Which, by the way, another big thing, his wife, Vanessa, like, she can play that man like a fucking fiddle.
She is a formidable woman.
Yes. So Matt takes a steamy shower, and all the gays and all the girls watching this show are like, yes, because Charlie Cox is a very handsome man. I'm trying not to make any cock jokes. So he's taking a steamy shower. The fucking blood's coming off of him, and his girlfriend comes in and does what any gay or woman would do in the situation where they take the robe off and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to step in," and then she notices that he's been like he has
this giant fucking bruise.
Yeah, he has like some pretty serious contusions and like bruises and shit.
Like she's about to ask him about it, and he's like, "No, we're gonna fuck now."
Yeah. Well, actually, I like how he's like, "Heather, I'm blind. I bump into stuff. Stop being a bitch about it."
He does that in the bedroom afterwards.
Right. And it's like, you are gaslighting this woman, Matt. Because, she's a psychotherapist.
She's a psychologist. Like, she's going to recognize what you're trying to do here.
Yeah. And she tries to, like, get him to talk about shit. And
he tries to brush it off. And finally she's like, dude, you have so much fucking trauma. Yes. It is seriously fucking with your life.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you should see a therapist, not me, because that would be weird.
Yeah,
but
probably a conflict of interest.
You need to work on this.
Yeah. But he's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Well, he says, I fight with it every day. And she's like, it's not a fight. It is a process.
He's like, oh, it's been a fight the last couple of days. I beat a man half to death. So
she did what?
Yeah. So she's not buying it, by the way. So she says, I love you. And I think it's really funny that Matt Murdock apparently has to do his hearing lie detector. And he discovers that she's not lying when she says it. And he's like, oh, yay. And it's like, I don't know if this is a healthy relationship. Like, they're both perfectly fine people. But, like, Matt, you're gaslighting that woman. And then you're doing a lie detector on her when she says, I love you. Like, that is not healthy. That's weird shit.
Well, he's not a healthy person.
I know. Exactly. I can fix him.
No, you can't. Not unless you're a trained clinical therapist.
I'll do that. I'll do that for Matt Murdock. I'll do it. So Fisk takes a minute. He likes to bitch about how Matt Murdock has ruined his day so many times in the past. He's like, I had this whole fucking criminal empire, and he keeps showing up, punching people, and I don't know, maybe trying to fuck my wife. I don't even know. Like,
fucking beat up all my blue collar employees who had good paying jobs.
Right. Yeah.
That were
I
definitely
was an
not
upstanding member of the community.
I was a small business owner. God damn it.
And here comes Daredevil.
Fuck everything
with his anti-drugs and all this other bullshit. And then he's like, you know what? We're going to bring the office of the governor down on his fucking head. And Buck's like, that's a bad idea. And it could be seen as like an abuse of power. And he's like, it's 2025. You're allowed to do that now. And Buck's like, okay.
I mean, power exists to be abused.
Yes. So Matt we're going to kind of run through this a little bit. Matt visits Angela in the hospital. He tries to get he's like, what the fuck do you look like? Like, tell me as much as you can. And she's like, I lost a lot of my blood and I don't remember anything other.
I think they mentioned 2,500 milliliters.
2,500 milliliters, which
is a lot. Like, how much does the human body have?
Well, so that's 2.5 liters, right? And your body has 5 liters of blood. So that's half of your blood.
How is she not dead?
Well, he did CPR on her, Chris. That
feels like a lethal amount of blood loss, especially because like she's a teenager and kind of small. So I don't think she would like.
Right. She probably doesn't have exactly 5 liters.
Yeah, she probably has like 4.5, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just napkin mathing here, but she should be dead.
Yeah, and certainly should not have been revived by CPR. She needed a blood transfusion and IV fluids. So, the one detective from St. Patty's Day, I can't remember her name. The one that told the joke about the Catholic.
Oh yeah, she's the one cop who does everything.
Yes. Apparently, like one of the good ones, right? One of the good cops.
So she goes down to Muse's lair with another cop and snoops around, and
they find a little piece of canvas. Which someone pointed out might have been just a piece of his costume that got ripped off, which I think is really cool that his murder costume, not that you should have a murder costume, but like his murder costume is made of this like real fancy canvas or whatever. So Luca, who also I think wants to cuck Fisk in some way or another as well.
I mean, Mrs. Fisk is an attractive woman.
Yes. And I think he's got some,
and also there'd be power dynamics there.
Yes. He's like, can you put the stilettos on and step on my balls, please?
Well, I was thinking it's more, hey Fisk, I fucked your wife.
Oh, right, yeah,
You're
sure,
a cuck.
Sure, yeah, right, yeah. Which I don't know, maybe he's into. Well, I don't think he is actually, knowing what I know at the end of this episode. So, so Luca meets with Vanessa. Remember, he owes a bunch of money now.
$2 million. Yep. He's like, that's bullshit. And she's like, well, you should have just fucking stayed in line and you would have been charged $2 million. He's like, look, I don't know what the fuck your husband is doing, but like. Things were a lot better.
I can do it better, baby.
Yeah, when you were in charge, things were way better. So, like, I'm just putting it out there.
I do like this thing he does where he's like, hey, when you were in charge, shit was great. That's all I'm going to say.
She's like, okay, are you proposing something? Are you, like, do you want my help?
And he just shrugs and slowly walks away. I don't know. What do you think? I think they do suggest at this point that maybe she's going to betray Fisk, right?
They're trying to plant that seed.
Yeah, right. Which she's a very calculating, dangerous woman. So who knows? So Bastion, who is also, that's Muse's actual identity, played by the wonderful Hunter Doohan, who is in a brilliant show with Bryan Cranston called Your Honor. And he's also in Wednesday, but I first saw him in Your Honor, and he's really good.
This character had previously gone to Heather's book signing and
he's like
and gushed about how she changed his life.
Like as she's signing his book, he's like, I need help, and her first reaction was okay,
yeah, sure,
not ew. So this is like one of many therapy sessions that he's going to, and he talks about a dream that he has about a birthday where it's like his parents don't see him and shit, and she's like, because your parents suck, and he's like, no, fuck you, I love my parents, but they made me take Taekwondo and it really pissed me off.
While this is happening, we're interspersed with shots of the detective in Fisk's office.
Right. Which, by the way, Fisk is very involved in this one investigation, and I don't think that mayors do this.
Well, in this case, it's because he made a big part of his campaign.
Yeah, I guess he's pretty invested.
So like he's invested in this is a pet cause.
No, that's a good point.
So like this detective is like, yeah, so like this canvas sample we found, it's super Gucci and like
it is so Gucci.
Only 2 stores in the entire city sell it, and only 12 people have bought it in the last like 5 months.
This is the avocado toast of canvas.
Yes. So only 12 people have bought this. We talked to 11 of them. We couldn't find Bastion, so that's probably our guy.
Yeah.
Also, he's been involuntarily committed like 3 times in the past 5 years.
His Taekwondo teacher showed up dead on their property, and he definitely killed him.
Yeah. So
and Fisk is like,
this is our guy.
Okay, you're
Fisk is
probably
like,
right.
All right,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You can get out. I'm going to send my dirty cops after him.
Right. So Bastion in his therapy session starts to go a little creepy, and he finger paints with his nose blood and shit. And she's like,
you're a serial killer.
What the fuck is happening?
I'm going to leave now. And he's like, nope, I'm going to bash you against the wall and then tie you up.
The reveal here, by the way, is pretty chilling because like she's like trying to pretend like she hasn't put it together what he is. And he's like, girl,
you know. I know that you know.
Yeah. So, but that's okay because now we won't have any more secrets between us. And she's like, there is no us. Like, what the fuck do you think this is? And he's like, I'm going to hit you now. So
he ties her up and starts exsanguinating her.
So anti-vigilante cops could be a pretty good band name. Check out Muse's hideout. When they leave, Matt shows up.
Anti-vigilante, like your aunt.
Yes. You know what?
Just anti-vigilante. That'd be a good band name. Anyway.
Just without the cops on it, you mean anti-vigilante? Yeah, I like it.
Anyway, so they're down in Muse's lair cataloging evidence and shit, and Daredevil sneaks in.
Right as they're fucking off.
Yep, they leave. Daredevil sneaks in, like, feels up some of the paintings with his hands. He's like, holy shit, that's Heather. I gotta go.
I think it's interesting. Most of them, like, he looks frustrated because he runs his finger and he's like, I can't fucking see this. See this. And then he gets to one that has just enough texture, like with the paint brush strokes and stuff, where he's like, "Oh, that's my hot girlfriend." Oh no!
Yeah, like I just felt her face this morning. I know exactly what she feels like.
I know she loves me, and I know that with 100% certainty because I did a lie detector on her. It was after I gaslit her.
You're really caught up on this.
I guess I better go save her, or you know what? Maybe I won't. I don't know. So yeah, he. What's really funny, I think my favorite part of this is when he's looking through, and the one cop that he beat the shit out of in the previous episode
comes back in, and Daredevil just throws his stick.
Hey, you're not supposed to be in here. He's like, fuck off, and he just like right off the forehead. Yeah,
bonk.
This poor guy. Like,
fuck him.
Like, in his mind, he like this is a legend in his own mind, and he's like, oh, the next time I see that fucking Daredevil, I'm gonna. And he like. Without even looking, knocks his ass out.
Because he can't look.
Right.
Because he's blind.
Okay, that's fair. So that guy got knocked out.
Yeah.
So
Daredevil goes swinging in through Heather's office.
Did we talk about how, he cut her. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, by the way, Muse puts his costume back on because he's like, we're going to fuck with this on. Well, actually, probably not.
This is my moment.
Yeah.
This is my murder outfit.
Yes. So, Daredevil just fucking shows up, grapples in, starts beating the shit out of him. Well, except that Muse like does a pretty good job holding his own.
Yeah,
like, he's pretty good moves.
What, a black belt in Taekwondo at the very least?
Was competing in Taekwondo, yeah.
Yes. So they're fighting, and there's a gun and some stabbing, and meanwhile the anti-vigilante cops show up.
Right. So Heather is able to get a gun.
Yep. Heather gets Muse's gun, shoots him in the chest a bunch, and he falls over dead. And she's like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass out now because I've lost quite a bit of blood.
Yeah, time to go to bed. Which, by the way, this perhaps is more evidence that Matt is a terrible boyfriend. Runs over, realizes that she is in grave medical distress, and then leaves because he hears the cops coming.
Well, in fairness, it's the cops. They are probably going to call an ambulance for her.
Yeah, well, so I noticed that they added, I think it's ADR, they added in a line from one of them. It's like, oh, someone stabilized her.
Yeah.
That was on the closed captions. And it was like, with what?
Did he have enough time to do that?
Yeah, because like at that point, with that kind of injury, stabilizing someone, well, I guess he could have put a tourniquet on and then fucked off. But yeah, maybe. He didn't want to get caught by the cops. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So he left.
So Fisk is like, okay, guys, this is what went down. Everything except for the last bit, which is,
yes,
you guys got here in time.
You guys got here and
you saved the day. Yeah, you saved the day.
And cops are like, that's not what happened. That's total bullshit. But yeah, we did it. We saved the day.
And so they get their story straight, and then, yay, the cops killed Muse and saved Heather.
Yep.
So Blake and BB, the reporter, talk. He's, by the way, sitting full on behind the governor's desk.
Mayor's desk.
Or yeah, the mayor's desk, just being kind of an asshole. Threatens BB with the most.
He doesn't threaten. He's making an opportunity.
It's the thing is he's such a dope that like it's hard to take him seriously, but I think he means it too. Yeah.
He's like, look, doing this. You can either tell the stories we want you to tell,
right,
or you can get fucked.
Yes. And I love how he's doing that Tony Soprano thing where he's like playing with his ring and shit while he's talking to her, and he's like, that's a nice face. It'd be real bad if anything happened to it.
It's some nice kneecaps you got.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want him to run into a baseball bat.
You wouldn't want to get whacked, right?
Yeah.
That's not what Tony Soprano sounds like, by the way. I would have to give myself real severe sleep apnea to sound like. Have you ever watched? By the way, I love James Gandolfini. I think he was a world-class actor. If you ever watch The Sopranos, half of the audio you're hearing is James Gandolfini breathe. Because he was a kind of a heavier guy, and also I think on top of that had some like an apnea, like a sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. So like he'd be sitting there in a chair and be like, fucking again. I love James Gandolfini.
Yeah,
he would laugh at that if he wasn't dead.
Heather wakes up in the hospital. Right?
Yes, and Matt's there, and she's like, I don't really remember what happened, but I think I killed that guy. And he's like, you had to, shit happens.
Yeah, you did what you had to do.
And she's like,
also, Daredevil knew my name, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and also because she said I killed him, and then Matt immediately was like, it wasn't your fault, and she's like, how the fuck did you know that? You weren't there. Oh my god!
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you also know my name.
Yeah, 2 men know my name. It must be the same person. So, all right, Luca gets a fucking text from Vanessa, who's like. Fucking Fisk he's breaking his diet. He's at his favorite
at this place
restaurant,
completely alone. I swear,
alone, undefended. He'd be facing away from the door when you walk in. Bring your gun.
Yeah,
and so
Luke is like, gotcha, absolutely. So he drives down there. He walks into this completely empty restaurant. Fisk is facing away from him. He goes to reach for his gun and gets shot in the head.
Yeah, fucking Buck steps out from the shadows like. It's just been revoked, like right in the fucking. And by the way, the way this is shot is really cool because he has to shoot over Fisk's head to hit him, and Fisk doesn't even flinch.
Yeah, Fisk is just sitting there eating his meatballs or whatever, just having a grand old time.
And then he's like, "Call Vanessa. I'm bringing leftovers home. Ask her if she wants some. Also, can you get me a box?" And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
You know what? I think they should do more of the. I wonder sometimes if Star Wars wouldn't kind of benefit from this same thing where like they make a couple of more adult geared shows that are like rated TVMA. And I don't think they ever will because Star Wars is such a solid, like its ethos is that it's a kid's
entertainment
thing.
For children. Yeah.
But it sure would be cool to have a Disney Plus like Darth Vader or Palpatine series where like they could do some of Lucina's
Dark Lords of the Sith?
No.
Or what is it?
It's the one Plagueis is the one it's called. Where we get kind of like the Palpatine's origin story where he like murders his whole family and shit. Like it would be kind of cool. I don't think they'll ever do it, but at the same time, it'd be like, damn, that would be really neat. And there are some moments where they like, you might remember in Obi-Wan Kenobi, like Vader kills a kid right in front of their parents, and it's like, you know, but it's the Force and there's no blood or anything, so it's not a big of a deal. But like, it's like there's shit there you can play with to make it roll fucking.
I mean, it is wars right there in the name,
right?
Although I think Andor is probably the closest they're going to get to an adult-oriented story.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Like not so much in terms of graphic content, but in terms of like, stuff that makes you think.
Right. Yeah.
Themes and all that shit.
Right. And like the I mean, the themes are actually kind of horrifying in Andor when you think about it, but also the quality of the dialogue is just way over kids' heads, right? Anyway, we're gonna call that. Hold on, I want to check real quick to see if we got
any messages from our adoring fans.
Yeah, all tens of them. No, as it turns out,
we are very grateful to you for watching and putting up with our bullshit.
All tens of you. Well, on Facebook, we'll have like 1,000 of you.
Dozens of you.
Yeah.
Dozens.
So anyway, we're going to go play some Battlefront here for in a couple of minutes. Come and join us. It'll be a lot of fun. We hope to see you then. Have a good night.
Bye.